God, I'm so out of practice with this. Don't even know how to introduce the video. Do you remember me? I vaguely remember you. It's been a little while. Last year was so mad. It was so busy. My calendar for last year, almost every month was just a sea of events and things that I was doing and places I was going, and it was a lot. And I miss YouTube so much. I miss this. I've really got back into books again this year. I've been part of friends' reading sprints, and I've just been getting back into writing and just doing a lot more stuff with the book community as a whole, and I really missed you. I missed this. I thought as my first proper actual sit down talking to the camera video that I would do as my return after like, what, a year and a half or something on this channel. I realised that I have an absolute ton of library books out at the moment. Like, I have 6 of them, and another one reserved at the library for Tasmin's book club. Tasmin is an absolutely lovely soul, and their book club is all about middle grade, so I have Impossible Creatures to pick up from the library later. So that's another one to add to my list. And I thought a fun way for me to try and get through some of my library books that I have is to do a little reading challenge and like a weekly reading vlog. I'm currently now on half term, and I thought what better time than to try and get through as many of my library books as I possibly can. Obviously the first thing I need to do is take you through the books that I have. I'm going to start with this hefty chonker, the only non-fiction book, I think, yeah, that I have in my pile, and that is Salt, Acid, Heat, Fat, Mastering the Elements of Good Cooking by Samin Nosrat. I have really got into cooking last year. Sorted Food was the thing that introduced me to cooking a lot more. Their YouTube channel is amazing. So I borrowed this way back, I think, in November, and still haven't worked through it. All I want to do is just try and read through as much of it as I can and just take down some notes of some of the things that I'm interested in, take some photos of the recipes that I want, and then finally return this after like 3 months. The rest of them then are fiction. I have a huge pile of fiction. One that I've had for the longest time, again probably since, I know it was before Christmas because I took this home when I went to my mum's for Christmas. Welcome to Night Vale. I love the Welcome to Night Vale podcast. I was super late to it. I only started listening to it like a couple of years ago, and I love it so much. I'm still trying to work through from the beginning. I think I've listened to maybe 50 episodes of it, and there's so many more to go. There's like hundreds of episodes, but I wanted to read the novel. I thought I was further through this than I am. I'm actually only like 76 pages through this. I don't know why I thought I was further through. It's a bit shameful really that I've only read this much of it when I started it over Christmas and it's now February. The next one that I started is When Life Gives You Mangoes by Corinne Gettin. Another thing I'm trying to do this year is to try and clear my NetGalley shelf. I have like a bunch of books on my NetGalley shelf, I mean who doesn't, that I haven't read, and I really want to try and clear that a little bit. There's so many on there that I requested, like, God, I don't even know how long. I think the oldest book on there, I think I requested on NetGalley something like 7 years ago, and I just never read it, and I don't know why. I'm so awful. So I got this from the library, and I am currently 77 pages through, which is very weird because that's exactly almost how many pages I'm through Welcome to Night Vale. That's spooky. Also, look at my little cat bookmark. I love it so much, but look, there's a surprise. So then the other one, the one that I said I requested like 7 years ago on NetGalley that I've never read, is See You in the Cosmos by Jack Cheng. Again, don't know why I haven't read it. I feel like I should have by this point because I am, how many pages through? 35 pages. I was hoping I was 77 pages through then, that would have been great. 35 pages through this, and I'm loving it so far already. I love how it's written. I'm really intrigued to see where it goes. So I think this will be a quick read, and I'm excited to finally get it off my NetGalley shelf after 7 years. Then the final two that I have are ones that I haven't read yet. Again, I have another one that is on my NetGalley shelf and I got a physical copy, and that is The Frequency of Us by Keith Stewart. And then the final one that I got is another young adult, and this is in verse, so this is going to be super quick. Like, I can probably read this in like a day or two. And that's In the Key of Code by Amy Lucido. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And it was one that, as I was searching for, I think I was looking for When Life Gives You Mangoes in the children's section of the library. I just came across this. It's kind of like a middle grade, again, sort of young YA middle grade verse novel. And as soon as I see a verse novel, I want to read a verse novel. I will always pick it up. I love them. I've actually got a video from a few years ago all about my verse novel collection and why I love them so much. But yeah, again, this just sounded really good, and I love a verse novel, and it was really pretty, so I had to pick it up and borrow it. So that's all the books. I have 6 books. I have a week. Obviously, some of them I have already started. Some of them are going to be quicker than others. This is going to be really interesting. I haven't done a reading vlog for literally years, like 2 years or something. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm happy to be back. Without further ado, I've been talking for a while. Let's get into the reading vlog. So before I can get down to just reading today, I have some things to do. I need to go into town. Impossible Creatures, as I mentioned in the intro, has arrived at the library for me. So I need to go and pick that up, which I'm very excited about. I'll also, I guess, add that to my list. Although if I can't get to that until next week, that's fine. I'm going to focus on these 6 that I already have. But yeah, I might start it this week. Who knows? I've got some other little random house bits to do. But apart from that, I think today is pretty free to get going on all of this.
I started my journey to town with an audiobook of See You in the Cosmos, which was a great start to my reading challenge. I picked up Impossible Creatures from the library. I went to the works where I did a bit of shopping. I got some Greggs for lunch, great lunch, and then I went back to the library to use their Wi-Fi, and then I ended up sitting there for 4 hours and wrote 2,000 words of my novel, which was not what I planned, but it was an excellent afternoon. It was so nice and sunny. I went for a little walk along the river and watched some swans. It was just glorious, and it was such a nice unexpected day out.
I'm back for what was supposed to be like maybe 2 hours out to go and grab a book and get some shopping. Turned into a whole day. It's now 5 to 7 in the evening. I filmed that first bit earlier. I think it was before 12. It's like 11:30. I think I was on the bus to town at like 12:30, and now it's 5 to 7. It's been a really nice day. The biggest news though for this vlog, I realised I had the audiobook on BorrowBox of See You in the Cosmos, and I have just listened to the entire book. I finished it. Oh my god, what a delightful book. Strange word to use for it because it's quite heavy. I didn't really know much going into it. It's basically a story of an 11-year-old boy called Alex who wants to go to this kind of space convention where there's competitions for people to launch rockets into space, or kind of launch rockets as high up as they can go, and there's big cash like sort of grants and things, and he wants to launch his iPod into space, and on his iPod he's been recording a bunch of audio recordings for aliens. So he wants the aliens to listen to his voice recordings to know what the life of a boy on Earth is like. So the whole book is written as like transcripts of his audio recordings. The themes become a lot darker than... I was kind of expecting things to not be as they seem at the beginning, because it's kind of like, why is an 11-year-old boy allowed to travel to different states by himself and go and camp with only his dog, and like he meets random people on a train, and I was like, this feels like there's something up, because I feel like a responsible parent wouldn't allow an 11-year-old boy and his dog to go off on a train journey to a several-day convention and camp on his own. As things are revealed, you kind of see what is happening in his life, and why things are the way that they are. But it has... oh my god, I love it so much. I can't believe this has been on my NetGalley shelf for 7 years, and I have never read it until now, because I'm like, I genuinely feel like this is a new favourite book for me. Like, this is how we're starting off this vlog, is with a 5-star read that I genuinely feel like is a new favourite book, and I would go back to the audiobook over and over. The audiobook, while I mention it, definitely recommend it. I read, how many pages did I say I read? 35 pages I'd read in the physical book, but I listened to the whole audiobook today, and oh my god, the audiobook is so good. It's so good. I think that's what has made me love it so much. I'm so glad I picked that up instead of the physical, because I think the physical book obviously is all transcripts, which is cool, but the audiobook is read by, I don't know how old the narrator is, but he sounds really young, the narrator of Alex, the 11-year-old. Amazing narrator, he's so good, but then there's other voices for the different characters, but also sound effects, so it's written like a proper like radio drama where you've got proper sound effects and character voices and like a full cast. Oh my god, it's amazing. I'm like, my mind is blown about how good this was, and I was not expecting it to be. It has themes of hope and like the whole found family aspect of it I love so much. Found family is one of my favourite tropes, and this absolutely has that, but all centred around an 11-year-old boy who has to be more responsible than his age. He is basically like a little adult in a boy's body, and he, oh bless him, he's the kind of kid that some of the kids that I work with, I imagine their lives are like, where they have to be so much more responsible than their age requires them to be, like should require them to be, and it really dives into his, just how hard his life is, but how, yes, he is responsible, but also he's so naive, and people have been trying to protect him from things that an 11-year-old boy really shouldn't be knowledgeable about, really ideally shouldn't be experiencing, but he wants to know everything. He's so smart, like he just wants to know everything that's going on, and it's that whole thing between how much do we tell children when they're experiencing things that like typical children wouldn't even imagine experiencing, but how much then do you also try and shelter them so they can still be a kid. I love it so much. I could talk about it for so long, but yeah, how good is this to start this vlog? I love when a reading vlog starts in such a great way. Yes, 5 stars, loved it.
Very smooth transition here into me cooking. I thought this week I'd also show you some of the cooking that I've been doing, because I said at the beginning how much I really love cooking. So here I'm making a sort of cheesy French toast with bacon and an apple cider vinegar spiced syrup that you do in the microwave. This is a recipe from Sorted Foods Sidekick app. Did you see how much here I just spilled the cider vinegar absolutely everywhere? What an idiot. This is one of my favourite recipes from the Sidekick app. Not sponsored, wish I was, that would be very cool. I just love them a lot. This is one of my favourite recipes because it's super easy, so simple, but it's amazing. The combinations are just the best, and I love it so much.
Dinner is eaten. I've got cosy. It is now 10 to 9. I have my lamp on, I have my book, and let's try and blast through this book this evening, shall we? I've had a productive day and I'm in a reading mood, so who knows what will happen. I have read an entire book today, almost, so let's see. But yeah, I'll see how I do.
1 hour later.
It's now pretty much 10 o'clock and I've not read a single word. I ate some ice cream. I watched a bunch of YouTube shorts, and that's it for an entire hour. I think I'm gonna go to bed. I think I'm just gonna go and get into bed, away from all distractions, and take my book with me and see if I read any in bed. But if I don't, then it's still a win that I have read a whole book today, and that wasn't my plan, so see you tomorrow. Good afternoon. It is, what time is it? 10 past 2 on Tuesday. I haven't read anything yet today, but I've been productive. The dishwasher is on, I've done some washing, I've done some cleaning, I have finished editing my Read With Me YouTube video, which is currently uploading behind me. I didn't end up reading anything last night either. I just went to bed and then just lay in bed for ages just scrolling, as you do. So yeah, hasn't been very successful since that audiobook yesterday. But yes, I'm feeling keen, I'm feeling on it. I'm going to read this today, as I said I was going to read yesterday and then didn't read a single page. But yeah, I'm going to get on this today, and I think because it's only 2 o'clock, I've got all day. I've got no plans today. Hopefully it will be slightly more successful than the last sort of 12 hours or so. That's another one finished. Hooray! It's 5:15, so that didn't take me very long. My YouTube video went up at 4, I premiered it at 4, and then I just Chromecast it to my TV and watched my own premiere. Don't know if that's weird, but I really like the music I chose to go over the top of it, because I've done like reading sprints with like relaxing music over the top, which I'm always looking for anyway while I read, so I thought, why not play my own premiere as it's going up? Very strange having myself on my TV screen, not a fan of that, but I was reading most of the time anyway, so I wasn't just staring at myself on the TV. But anyway, I finished When Life Gives You Mangoes. That was so good. I was not expecting that ending at all, like sort of twist ending, in a way. You know that there's going to be something explained, because the whole like plot of the book is that the main character, Clara, she has kind of lost the last year of her memory, and we don't really know why. People keep saying, like, friends keep like teasing her and things that she doesn't have memory from like the last year, and we don't really know why that is. And yeah, it's kind of just a bit of a slice of life book. It doesn't happen over a huge time span, but we just see Clara sort of exploring with her friends, and they kind of live in like this little village, Jamaican village I think, where yeah, we kind of just see her exploring with her friends and like seeing about her family dynamics and things like that. But we know that there's something going on with her where she doesn't have memory from the last year, and it all kind of unravels and it all explains why, and it kind of deals with grief. Yeah, it's just a really lovely story in a way, because you kind of it's just about how grief affects people in different ways, but also how how important it is for families to come together and sort of for communities to support each other within those small communities. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. I would give it 4.5 stars because there were a couple of points in the middle where I kind of, not that I lost interest, I just sort of lost focus a little bit, particularly like towards the beginning middle, but yeah, I just flew through the last 100 pages of this. I think it's just over 200 pages, and I just flew through the last half of it in like an hour. I also realised that I forgot to mention, when I was cooking yesterday, I started also the audiobook of The Frequency of Us by Keith Stewart, which is one of the ones on my list for this week. I realised the audiobook is on Spotify, so I started listening to that as well. I didn't listen to much. I literally didn't get past chapter 1 because I was cooking, but then I was also filming stuff as I was cooking, and I didn't want the audiobook over the top of it, so I kept pausing it, so I didn't really listen to that much. But yeah, I'm going to cook again this evening, and I might stick that on again, because it's a good way for me to get through it while I'm doing something else.
Tonight I thought I'd do some Spanish cooking, so we're starting off with some chorizo in sort of a red wine sauce. We've got some chorizo in a pan, which I'm adding red wine, garlic, a bay leaf, and I'm just going to let them simmer along nicely. And then alongside that I'm doing some patatas bravas, so I've got some potatoes roasting in the oven, and in a pan I'm going to do some tomatoes, some paprika, a bunch of spices, and they all simmer into a really nice tomato sauce that you can chuck over the top of the potatoes. And then in a separate bowl I do some mayonnaise, a bit of garlic powder, and some pepper, and then I plate it all up with the sauce over the top of the potatoes, chop some parsley over the top for some greenery, Then to finish off the meal, I thought I would then do a Spanish dessert as well, so I'm making some churros. So we've got some flour and some baking powder in a bowl, which I'm just going to mix together with some water. Oh, I'm also adding a little bit of cinnamon for that churros spicy flavour. I whiz it all up with a hand mixer until it sort of forms a doughy consistency, and then put it all into a piping bag into some very hot oil. If the sound was on the video, you would hear me shouting because it was so scary. Okay, there was a moment there when I completely thought I had screwed up, but I must have faith in my own abilities, because look at this! I did a chocolate sauce. It's basically just dark chocolate mixed with a bit of double cream and heated up. Look at these! I am thrilled with myself.
I'm very happy with myself right now. Hello, ignore my red face, I've just been walking. It's a lovely day, it's like a spring day, the sun's out, I've just been for a walk. It's Thursday. I kind of accidentally skipped, not accidentally, but I skipped a whole day of filming because I had like a fun little Valentine's Day picnic yesterday and it was really lovely. We had like a sort of niche TV references theme picnic, so we had food related to like Doctor Who and particularly Friday Night Dinner, which is what we've been watching together, and that was super fun. It was so nice, but I didn't record anything the whole day. Yeah, and I also didn't read anything yesterday either. I didn't read a single page yesterday, but it was a really nice day, so that's fine. And now it is, what is the time? It is 2 o'clock now on Thursday, and I also haven't read anything yet today either. However, I have just been to Home Sense. There's a giant Home Sense, like literally less than 10 minutes walk from me. So I've just been there. I had £30 of vouchers saved up, so I spent £38 in Home Sense, and only £8 of it of my own actual money, on a bunch of new kitchen stuff, and I am so sadly excited about it. So I started in the Key of Code, not yesterday, the day before, and I flew through. I didn't mean to start it, I just kind of picked it up and I was interested to look at the format and stuff of it, and I sat there just before bed and read 103 pages. It's super quick because it's like it's formatted like a verse novel. It's super quick to fly through. I'm loving it already. It's so cool. I'm realising also the way that the author has formatted it is like actual code. So far the main character, I can't remember her name, Emmy, she's 12 and she started a new school, and she is really not fitting in. Like, she feels like she is just in a whole new world to where she's from. I can't remember what state she came from, but she's moved to, I think, LA or something like that. I was reading this super late 2 days ago, so my memory is already gone. But she's moved to a state that she's really not used to. It's a whole new world to the state that she's come from. And everyone has to pick their option lesson for that year. And her parents are musicians. Her mum is an opera singer. Her mum has sung at like Carnegie Hall and everything. But Emmy kind of doesn't have that musical talent that she wishes she had. Like, she kind of wants to follow in the footsteps of her musician parents, but she doesn't have the same gift for music that she hoped that she would. So she ends up, rather than the music course, she ends up doing computer science. And it's that one that everyone in the school is just like, computer science sucks, what the hell, it's the nerd subject, like I don't want to do the geeky nerd subject. She meets a girl who I think is friends with like the cool kids, and she is kind of trying to make it seem like, great, I got computer science, that sucks, but actually she's thrilled, like she's a really good coder and she's actually really excited, and I think her and Emmy are going to become really good friends. And the way that, because it's so much to do with code, like they're learning Java, there's so many actual like Java terms that you learn as you read. You're kind of almost learning about Java as you read. And there's also like music terms as well, so all of the like traditional, you know, like the Italian music terms are also in here, so you learn about those and you learn about Java in the process. But I'm realising that the way that she formats so much of this is like written code, so it has like the curly braces. I don't know if you've seen code, you have like the curly braces, like the brackets that open and close pieces of code when you write it, and that's how she formats so much of this. So like with dialogue and things, dialogue is formatted in the braces that you use for code, which is really cool. Like it uses that format of verse, like sort of verse poetry in a really interesting way. I've never thought of it as looking like lines of code before, but it kind of is. Like that is how code is written, in separate lines of things, just like verse poetry, and it's really cool. Like it's a really nice, like a really unique way of doing it. I've never seen something like this before, so I'm really excited to, I think, fly through the rest of this. It's like 300 and it's almost 400 pages, and I'm already 100 pages through, and it took me like 20 minutes or something to fly through that. So I'm going to see how much of this I can get read before my friend comes over later, and I'll give you an update maybe this evening once she's gone. This week started off so well with vlogging, and it's just gone rapidly downhill. It's Saturday morning. No, it's not even Saturday morning, it's Saturday afternoon. It's almost 12:30 on Saturday. My washing machine is on, by the way. I'm sorry if you can hear it. Yeah, I've, like, the past couple of days, I, like, started off all guns blazing with getting all my books read earlier in the week, and then I've just gone downhill. I don't think I've read anything again yesterday. I felt a bit weird yesterday. I didn't feel very well. Like, I was so tired. Almost felt a bit sinusy. It was very strange. So I just came home and then was going to read and then didn't. So I didn't end up filming anything yesterday at all. But I'm here and I'm feeling productive today. I say that, I have literally not been out of bed very long. I've been lying in bed playing Animal Crossing. I restarted my Animal Crossing island. That's productive. But I have carried on listening to the audiobook of this, The Frequency of Us. It's frustrating me a bit because I can read it so much faster than an audiobook. Like, when I picked up the book just to see what point of the book I'm at, I've been listening for a while this morning and realised that I've only listened to like 3 chapters. So just to make it quicker, I read to the end of the chapter and realised that there were literally only a couple of pages. It took me like a minute and a half or something to read 3 pages of this book, and there were still 11 minutes of the chapter on the audiobook. So I was kind of like, I love audiobooks, but when I'm trying to read stuff quite quickly, it can be a little bit frustrating, even when I've got the speed put up. I think that was on 1.5 speed. But yeah, it's fine so far. Like, I'm intrigued. I'm so not used to reading like general adult fiction, so it's kind of taking a little bit more for me to get into the story. I'm still so used to reading sort of middle grade or YA, and yeah, so it's kind of taking me a little bit longer to get into this, but I am interested. I'm interested in the characters already. Like, I love Keith Stewart's writing anyway, so like I'm interested in the story. It's not like I have no interest. It's just I'm so not used to reading adult fiction. I'm a 29-year-old who still is not used to reading adult fiction because I still read so much YA. But yeah, I'm gonna carry on with the audiobook, I think, for a bit while I need to tidy up my kitchen. I still didn't clean up from cooking yesterday because I'm a mess. So I'm gonna listen to the audiobook a bit. I might try and whack the speed up a little bit and see if I can get it a bit faster. And then I need to finally finish this, In the Key of Code. I still haven't finished it. There was me saying this was gonna be a super quick read and I was gonna fly through it in a day. And this is like, I'm on day 3 of reading this and I'm still like halfway through. I'm really loving it though. Yeah, I think this is going to be great. I'm going to really like this. But I definitely want to fly through the rest of this today, and I say that actually with intention today. I'm going to finish this. That is my goal. I am going to finish this today. Tomorrow, Beth at Book's Nest is doing all-day reading sprints for her patrons, so I am going to join that. I think I'm going to try and get all of my to-do list cleared today. I need to do some podcast stuff, I need to do something for work, I need to do some like work stuff where I have a deadline next week. Even though I'm on half term, I've got a deadline next week that is really important that I need to get done. So I need to do that today. And yeah, today is going to be trying to just bash through as much of the stuff on my to-do list that I haven't done this week. And then tomorrow, that is going to be my big last push on this vlog, where I'm just going to dedicate the day to Beth's reading sprints. That's my plan let's go. Let's be productive. Okay, while I have my dinner, I was going to wait until after to open this, but I can't wait. My Amazon parcel just arrived. Basically, in my job, in the school I work, we work with Just Like Us, which is a charity who do LGBTQ plus education with young people, and they help us run our pride group. We have like an inclusivity pride group in our school. And I did a, focus group with them last week. And for taking part in this like hour-long focus group, they sent a £25 voucher. So I thought I'd get them for Amazon. I usually hate Amazon. I don't usually buy from Amazon if I can help it, just, you know, politics-wise. But they have these books that I desperately want. I listen to the audiobooks and I don't have the physical copies, and they're so expensive to buy. But Amazon have them cheaper than anywhere, and I was like, if I have this voucher, I'm poor, I cannot afford to buy them on their own, like at their normal price. If Amazon have them cheaper and I have the choice of getting a voucher that can basically afford both of them within the voucher, then I'm going to do that. And I'm so excited. This is what I bought myself. I'm so excited. I was just looking at the viewfinder at how beautiful they are rather than at the camera. Oh my god, I'm so excited about these. They're so small, they're novellas, which is why I was like, I kind of don't want to pay £18 for each of them. So I got them on Amazon for £13 each, which is still a lot. I guess in some countries that wouldn't be. I know some people in some countries books are so expensive, but here that's still quite a bit for a book. They are hardback, but they are quite small. However, I just love these so much. I fell in love with the audiobooks. And I just love Becky Chambers. So far, anything that I've read, I haven't read a huge amount by her, but The Wayfarers, I need to carry on with the series because I loved those so much. Becky Chambers is just so good at like character-driven sci-fi, and that's what I love. So I had to get these, and they're so pretty. Oh my god, I'm so happy I made this decision. My problem is I now just want to reread these and ignore my books. But I can't. I need to read my books that I need to read rather than rereading what I've already read. Okay, right, I'm going to eat my dinner and then I'm going to get reading because this has inspired me to read. I finished it. I can't believe it took me so long. Oh, it's so good. In my head, I thought it was 400 pages because when I looked at the word count, like the page count, it's actually a bunch of extra stuff at the back. There's like a glossary. So I had in my head that it was 400 pages. So when I got to like 380 something, I was just like, okay, there's still 20 pages left. This is good. I didn't want it to end. Like, you know that's a good book when you don't want it to end. And then I suddenly got to 389, expected to turn the page and go to 390 and carry on for another 10 pages, and then it was the end. It was the author's note, and I was like, so what? I actually, out loud, sat here and turned the page and went, what? This was so good. This was so good. I can't believe twice, just in this week, I have picked up a book, kind of a middle grade young YA book, and not known much about it. Kind of picked it up, this one completely at random, and then the other one was See You in the Cosmos, which I've already talked about. Loved it so much. I love that I've had two books that I love. Can't remember if I talked about what it's about. I think I talked about it a bit. Quick summary, it's about Emmy, who I think I mentioned her parents are musicians, and she's moved to California, and she's not used to this lifestyle. It's completely different. She meets a friend called Abigail, and
Abigail kind of wants to keep her secret. Like, she wants to keep her friendship with Emmy secret because she's kind of in a cool girl friend group, and she doesn't want to be like shown to be like seen to be friends with the nerd coding girl, but actually they're a lot more similar than anyone thinks, and they get on really well, and it's just about their developing friendship and about her, Abigail, realising who her real friends are. And it's about Ms. Delaney, who is their coding teacher, an incredible woman. I love her so much. I want more of her story. I would love a spin-off just of Ms. Delaney, because she used to work in like a big Silicon Valley startup, I think, or she worked in like some sort of big coding profession, and she left, and they're like, why did you leave? And there's all these rumours around why she left. The way that it's written is so cool. I love it so much. It's kind of a blend of verse fiction, like verse poetry, with the structure of how code is written. And I love it. It's so cool. It teaches you about coding terms, music terms. It's got a glossary in the back, and the author encourages you to look up the terms as you're reading. She encourages in her author's note, if you're a kid and you're interested in music or code, kind of gives loads of resources about where you can go and learn if your school doesn't do coding or music. And there's also just like, the author's note is so inspiring about just sort of like, if you find something that you enjoy, then chase it, do it. Just, if you find something that's a new passion, don't push it down. If you find yourself wanting to do it more, just go and do it. Like, if you've got some spare time, obviously you can't just leave a job and go and do something new, but if you've just got some spare time, just go for this thing that you love doing. And that is so me. Like, I do so many different things that I love, and I jump between things all the time, but that makes me happy. And I've kind of found my things like podcasting and musical theatre and things like that. There's my certain things that I love doing that I will always chase, but I'm also a big advocate of what she's saying, where it's like, if you find a thing that you love, just do the thing you love. That's such a good message for kids. This is one I'm absolutely adding to my list of books to buy for my school library, because I will be pushing this into children's hands. That was amazing. Really nice evening. Didn't even take me that long. It's now 5 to 9, almost 5 to 9. So I've still got plenty of time to pick something up. And I'm not the kind of person where I need to sit and stew on a book. I can just pick up another book and start it. So I'm thinking Welcome to Night Vale is one that I started before Christmas. I've had it for 2 months, maybe even longer than that. And sorry, I'm looking over there because it's where my book pile is. I started it so long ago and I haven't finished it, and I'm thinking I should finish that rather than start another new one. Because then, apart from that, I have this one, which I showed you a couple of times, The Frequency of Us, which I listened to more of the audiobook earlier. I think I'm on chapter 7-ish. Let me just see where that is in terms of page count. Yeah, I think I've read or listened to around 100 pages, more than 100 pages. So the whole physical book is, again, about 400, just under 400. So yeah, I reckon I can carry on with the audiobook of that, but I'm kind of thinking now that if I can't finish that by the end of this week, which is basically tomorrow, that's not a big deal, because I can carry on listening to the audiobook after this week. My camera just very rudely cut me off because my memory card is full. Before I was cut off, I've got like 2 minutes because I just deleted some pictures and I need to clear some stuff off this card. The Frequency of Us, I don't mind finishing, I think, after this week. I'm not too bothered now that I know I'm listening to the audiobook. So I could, if I wanted to, return the library book with the others. So that's fine. I think I'd like to, tomorrow, like the rest of this evening and tomorrow, my focus is going to be trying to read the rest of Welcome to Night Vale, and then Impossible Creatures, which is also a book club read for this month as well, so it would be good to get that done. So those are my goals. Those feel quite manageable for the whole day tomorrow. I've dedicated the whole day to finishing books and stuff tomorrow, so I need to get some other bits done, but yeah, I think I can do this. Hey, it's 12:10.
didn't intend to go to bed this late. There was me saying at 9 o'clock I'll probably just stay up another hour. The whole trying to empty my SD card to film on again was more of a palaver than I thought it was going to be. My storage was complete. I've got a terabyte storage on my PC and it was completely full. I literally had like 20 gig of it left. I was like, I don't even know if I can take all this video footage off this SD card because my PC is just full. Looked at my podcast folder that has, we've recorded 174 or 175 episodes now of the podcast. Link below if you want to listen to our fun general knowledge podcast. It's got all the recordings since the beginning. 3 years of recordings. And all the editing files and all the video files from when we've used Zoom and it's recorded the video and all sorts. The folder, just the podcast folder, was 500 gigabytes. I spent like an hour going through that and clearing out all of the shit and just keeping like the edited podcast files, and I've now got it down to like 50 gig, which is a lot still, but not 500. I put my audiobook on though while I did it, so I got like another, I don't even know, I didn't listen to the audiobook until like halfway through and I was like, oh my god, I could be listening to my audiobook. So I probably listened to about half an hour of it, maybe a bit more. And then I finished that, came and sat down, and I did read some of Night Vale. So I was on page 75 when I started, and now I am on 139. It's a really weird one. I'll talk about this more when I come to finishing it, and I'll talk about it, because I think I'll try and finish this tomorrow. It's a bit of a weird one for me to rate, I think, because I love Night Vale, but it's funny. I laugh out loud so many times, but it's also like, it's a lot of sort of randomness, which Night Vale is. It's very random comedy. It's very surreal, and I don't know if a novel is too much surreal in one go. Sometimes I'm just a bit like, I'm losing the losing the plot a bit here. I'll see how I get on with this tomorrow, and then also try and read Impossible Creatures, or at least start it. I did only get that earlier this week, so I will give myself a bit of leeway on that. I'm going to go to bed because it is past midnight, and I do go back to work next week, and I need to sort out my sleeping pattern. I've been getting up at like 11 AM, like it's been so bad, so I need to sort my life out. But I'm really looking forward to a whole day of sprints and chill reading tomorrow. I'm going to make the most of my last day of half term and have a bit of a chill day. It's the final day. We got this. Beth is on my screen. I have Beth's reading sprints ready to go. I'm very excited about this. All day sprints. I love some all day sprints. Makes me feel so productive. My goals today. I want to try and finish Welcome to Night Vale. I don't know how, why can't I think of words? Realistic. I don't know how realistic it is to finish this because I'm on page 140 and it is 400 pages. Why have all my books been 400 pages? That's very weird. But yeah, I don't know how realistic that is because I also want to try and read Impossible Creatures. But as I said yesterday, this is going to be my target today because it's the one I've had for flipping forever. Whereas Impossible Creatures I only borrowed earlier this week, literally in this vlog. So yes, this is my goal. Let's get to it. The sprints are complete. It's almost 10 past 10. I'm so tired. Oh, that was a lot of reading. Beth was live for about 10.5 hours today and I joined in for the entire lot. I told her I was going to be in it for the long haul and I was. I ended up reading I started with Welcome to Night Vale. It's going to be a weird... I think I've said this, it's going to be a weird one to rate, but because it's just so much weirdness, I couldn't read it for too long. Like, I don't know, it's really strange. To me, it feels like it's taking a lot of brain power to get through because there is just so much random strangeness, which I love. It makes me laugh every time because I obviously love the comedy of it already. I love the podcast. So I'm enjoying it now. The story's picking up and the characters are starting to kind of link together and this kind of story's going somewhere now, whereas before it didn't really feel like it was going anywhere. So I think I ended up reading 56 pages, I think I worked out, of this. I'm now on page 187 out of 400, so almost halfway. And then I have read 215 pages of Impossible Creatures, which again I'm enjoying mostly. At the moment in my head I'm kind of thinking in between a 3.5 and a 4. I don't know if it's just not my thing, because proper, like, fantasy's a bit weird with me. I love fantasy if it's rooted in like real character driven stories. So like Leigh Bardugo I love, Six of Crows I adore, because it's not like fantasy creatures as such. It's like, it's a fantasy world, but it's real people in the fantasy world. And this is, but it is so much to do with all the fantasy creatures and stuff. And it was why I couldn't get on with Northern Lights, Philip Pullman. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't like that very much. I enjoyed it-ish when I read it, but I didn't like it very much. For some of those reasons, like talking bears and things, I don't really do. I struggle to enjoy stuff like that. And this is it's lots of fantasy creatures. Literally, it's in the name. I mean, it might also be because I was reading for 10 hours today, but I was finding myself being like, what is going on? Why are they doing this? And I kept having moments where I was like, wait, what actually is the point of this adventure that they're on? What is this journey that they're on? Like, why are they doing it? And I'm still a bit like that. I'm like 215 pages in and I'm still kind of sometimes like, what is the point of what they're doing? But yeah, so 200, I think, what was that? 272 pages, I think, in total I've read today in about 10 hours. While I also did some cooking, I sorted out some washing, and not much else, to be honest. So it's been a really nice day. I am going to wrap up this vlog tomorrow morning. If I do any more reading tomorrow morning, I might still count that in this readathon. Considering I started on Monday, I'll do Monday to Monday. But yeah, I do have limited time in the morning, so I don't want to overestimate how much I can actually read. I love how we were all talking about on the sprints how we sort of like vastly overestimated how much we could get read today. Beth did the same thing, yeah. In my head, I was like, I can read all of Welcome to Night Vale and I can try and read as much of Impossible Creatures as I can as well. There's no way. There's no way. Like, I'm not even halfway through Night Vale and I've read 2/3 of Impossible Creatures. I've vastly overestimated how long it would take for me to get through them. But there you go. That's fine. We're all human. So yeah, I will see you in the morning, hopefully. When I will wrap this up, and I'll do a quick recap of everything I've read this week. So, we're done. It's the end of a vlog. It feels very, like, weird to be finishing a vlog for the first time in like 2 years. Yet again, I'm sorry if you can hear noise coming from my kitchen. It is my dishwasher. I thought I'd just do a quick wrap up of all the books. I have the stack of books here. So I will start with the ones that I did finish. And that is these three. We have When Life Gives You Mangoes by Corinne Getton, we have In the Key of Code by Amy Lucido, and we have See You in the Cosmos by Jack Chen. I loved all of these. My favourite was See You in the Cosmos. Honestly, a new favourite book for me. Like, it blew my mind how much I loved it. For one that I think it was actually my first book I ever requested on NetGalley. I don't know why, like I must have just been attracted to that book for some reason. And I never read it. It took me 7 years to read it off my NetGalley shelf, and I don't know why that took me so long, because I absolutely adored it. Like, I would happily buy this as a physical book for myself. Like, I'm so tempted to buy myself a physical copy of it now just for my shelves. But the audiobook especially, there's some books, it's not often that I will specifically recommend the audiobook over the physical copy, but the audiobook is incredible. Like, I think I talked about it already, but the full cast production that they've got going on, there's full sound effects, the way that it's just produced is so good, and it's one of those that I would highly recommend getting the audiobook if you can. I got it from BorrowBox from my local library, and yeah, it's worth seeing if you can get it from your library as an audiobook. But if not, even just reading the physical book, highly recommend. It was so good. I loved it so much. When Life Gives You Mangoes, I enjoyed. It was fine. I think it was like a 4-star for me. I really liked how it deals with the character's grief and how that has affected her, and the friendship that she has with some of the people in her village. It's so easy to read so many books that are very UK or US centric, and it was really nice to read something that has a different setting. I really enjoyed that. It was another one that was great. I liked it a lot. And then the other one was In the Key of Code, which again I've only talked about recently, so I won't talk too much about it, but so good. Loved it. Love the style, love the presentation of the sort of the code way of writing, kind of combined with the poetry, like the verse poetry. Really cool, really unique. Haven't read anything like this before, and I didn't want it to end. So good. If the author, I don't know if the author has any other work. If they do, I will be looking for it because I loved this. So then I've got 3 that I'm currently reading, and they won't take me very long to finish, so I'm really hoping in the next even couple of days I can get these finished. So the first one was Welcome to Night Vale, and as I mentioned, this is just taking me a little while to digest. It's one that you can't read super quickly, I think. It's very random and very bizarre, as Welcome to Night Vale is, as you kind of expect if you know the podcast. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to rate. Next up, I have Impossible Creatures, which I read, how much was it, 200 and something pages of yesterday? I read 215 pages of this just yesterday, so this isn't going to take me very long to finish at all. I've got sort of that much left, this much. Got about 100 pages left, maybe just over, and it's fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm not absolutely loving it. The reasons I talked about last night, I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to be interested to chat about this with Jasmine's book club and to see what other people think, because it is the Waterstones book of the year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm interested to see what other people think and read some reviews and stuff once I've finished this, because I'm kind of enjoying it, but it's not my favourite. And then finally, the one that I'm currently listening to the audiobook, I literally just paused the audiobook to come and film this, is The Frequency of Us by Keith Stewart. I am actually really loving this. It's a strange mystery about a young woman called Laura who is going to, she works as a carer, and she is caring for an old man who once, he was in the war, he's now in his 80s, living in Bath. Really cool that it's set in Bath, by the way. Again, talking about sort of London, where I said UK and US centric, a lot of books can be very like London centric. This is cool that it's based in Bath, which is, I know a lot more. But yeah, she goes to care for a man called Will who was in the war and lost his wife Elsa, who was an Austrian Jewish woman. The book sort of alternates between Laura's perspective now. She's a 29-year-old woman. We know that she suffers with her mental health. She has medication, but she's stopped taking the medication, and you wonder if a lot of what she's seeing is the side effects of her stopping this quite strong mental health medication that she was on. And then that alternates with the story of Will from the late 1930s, and he's talking about being only 19 years old, and he is really interested in radios and sort of programming radios. He meets Elsa, who he sort of immediately fell in love with, and it sort of goes through the next couple of years of their life during the war. He was bombed outside his house and he woke up in hospital, and there seems to be no record of Elsa. Like, she wasn't brought into the hospital, there's no record of her. People are like, we haven't heard of her, and this has affected him for the rest of his life. He's now in his 80s, he's lived on his own in his house that he always lived in. He's always lived in this same house. It's really old and decrepit, like it's falling apart, and now in the present day social services are trying to intervene, and they think that he could have dementia, or he's showing signs of dementia, because he constantly talks about this woman Elsa that no one seems to think existed, or there's hardly any records of her. It's a sort of a mystery where Laura then becomes his carer, and because nobody's really listened to Will before, and Laura, because she feels that nobody has ever listened to her, is the first person to take his story seriously and actually believe him, and he pulls her into this whole story that he has about this woman that no one seems to remember. She tries to kind of become a detective on her own and uncover the mystery, and it sort of affects her own mental health along the way. It's so like actually gripping. Like, I haven't wanted to stop because I'm just like, every chapter ends on a cliffhanger and then it jumps back to the other person's perspective, so you have to wait a chapter before you carry on with what just happened at the end of the last one. It's great. Like, there's revelations still happening at the moment that I'm just like, what the actual hell is going on? But I just love how we see the connection between these two people, a 29-year-old woman and a man in his late 80s. They just have this connection where they understand each other, and it shows the importance of just listening to people and believing them and believing their stories, whatever the outcome might be. Just sitting and listening to people, it kind of shows the importance of that. So yeah, I have, I think, about 2 hours left on maybe 2.5 hours, something like that, left on the audiobook. I don't know what else can happen because it feels like it's all coming together, but there's still so much left, so I'm intrigued. The only one that I didn't really start was this one, the massive recipe book tome that I've got. Still haven't started this. This is the one I've had for the longest time. I can't even remember when I took this out. I've already renewed it 4 times, ran out of renewals, went to the library and had to return it and take it back out again, and I've already now just renewed it another time, so I've literally had this for like 2 months or something. But yeah, I desperately need to get through this. I've never been in like it's not even a non-fiction mood, it's literally a recipe book about cooking, but it has so much interesting stuff that as I'm learning to cook, or learning to be a better cook, there's loads of stuff in there that is really useful, and I want to find the time to sit and go through it properly and study it. I almost wish I could have my own copy so I could highlight bits and whatever, but it's so expensive to buy. As you can see, it's a massive hardback. Recipe books like this are expensive anyway, so I can't afford my own copy. So for now, I'm just going to have to go through and make my own notes, but I just haven't had the time to do that. So I will keep this for a little longer. I'm almost kind of hoping somebody else reserves it at the library, so then it gives me that push where I'm like, okay, I have 2 weeks to do this before I need to return it. So there you go. That was everything. There was all the books. I managed to read 3 books and I'm most of the way through another 3, so I'm really happy with that, considering I've done so much other stuff over half term. Yeah, in 1 week, especially like most of last year I barely read. Like, I kind of went through months of hardly reading. January I read 8 books, and February, if I can finish all of these, then I'm on my way to finishing maybe like 6 or 7, because I've got a couple of another audiobook going, and I've read a couple of others as well that weren't part of this. I'm so excited by that. I'm hoping this carries on for the rest of the year, because I really want it to. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of the sort of cooking aspect of this vlog as well. As I said, I really love cooking at the moment. I'd really love to make some more sort of cooking content alongside books. I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you soon with a new video.